Kirsten from the Cake Making Mum. Today we're going to do some cookie decorating. So we've got a mix of cookies here. We're going to do some raw icing cookies and we're going to do some fondant decorated cookies. So the cookies I made today are vanilla shortbread cookies. So all of the ingredients you need for a vanilla shortbread cookie you can find locally in Melton. So I'm going to start with my raw icing cookies. First one I'm going to make is a flower. So using a flower cutter, I've just cut out a flower cookie. First thing I need to do is just mix a bit of colour. So here I have my raw icing prepared. I'm going to mix in a little bit of pink for this one. So we're going to start with just a tiny bit of colour and we're going to mix that through. When you're making raw icing cookies, you want to make sure that your raw icing is a bit runny. If it's too thick, you're not going to be able to pipe it onto the cookie. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop it in a piping bag. So I've prepared these piping bags earlier, but I just want to show you the ends of my piping bags. So I've only cut just the tiniest little bit off the tip, just a tiny little hole, because I don't want it to pour out. So I'm just going to pour that into my piping bag. Okay, so we don't need very much in there. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is just go around the outside of my cookie and create an outline. Just like that. And then I'm going to fill the center with the rest of my raw icing. Just make sure you cover all the cookie. Okay, then I'm going to get a little scribing tool, just like this, and I'm just going to make sure I've filled all the holes. So I've got this little tool here. You could just use a toothpick or a skewer. You just need something with a pointy end to move the icing around. And I'm going to leave that to dry for just a few minutes. Okay, the next one we're going to do is we're just going to pipe onto our square cookie the same way. We're going to pipe some white onto our cookie. I'm just going to set that aside for a minute and I'm going to prepare my next colour. So I'm just going to make some red. Alright, so these are just a gel. You can get different kinds of gels. Some of the shops at Woodgrove, they sell the AmeriColor gels. I'm just going to use this one today because I find this one gives me a brighter colour. But you can pick up a lot of different colours in the AmeriColor at Fantastic Variety in Woodgrove. So you can colour your raw icing, you can colour your fondant, you can colour your buttercream with the gels. There's no taste to them, so they won't alter the flavour, which is really good. Okay, so I've just prepared my red raw icing and I'm going to pop that into another piping bag. I'm just going to leave that one there for now. I'm going to come back to my white one. So you want to do, I'm going to use both the red and the white at the same time for this cookie. So I'm going to quickly do the white and then I'm going to use the red one straight away while the white is still quite wet. So once again, I'm going to do my outline. And then I'm going to fill my center. And just make sure all my cookie is covered. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my red. I'm just going to pop little dots. on top of the white. So you can either choose to leave your cookie like that and have a spotty cookie, or you can take your pointy tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag it down and hopefully create a love heart. And there we go, we've got some love hearts. And the next one I might do is get my red again. We'll make an actual red love heart this time and go around the outside again with our outline. Okay, then I'm going to fill the center. Take my tool, close off any holes. Okay, now I'm going to take some sprinkles this time. I'm just going to decorate the cookie. And then I'm going to leave this one to dry. There we go, that's our love heart one done. I'm going to come back to the flower one now. I'm going to pop this yellow little circle of icing right in the center to make the center of our flower. I'm going to grab my pink piping bag again. And I'm just going to go around the edge of my cookie again. To create a raised outline. And then I'm just going to put some little lines in the middle. And there is our flower cookie. So I'm going to leave that one to dry. And that's our royal icing cookies done. Alright, so now we're going to do our fondant decorated cookies. So the first one I'm going to start with is a marbled fondant cookie. So what we're going to do is we're just going to mix some blue with some white fondant, create a marble effect, and we're going to stick it on our cookie. So sometimes when you're using fondant, it does get a bit sticky, so it's good to use some corn flour. Just spread it around on our mat. And that way the fondant doesn't stick. I'm just going to take my blue fondant, you get a bit of white, and I'm just going to mix them together. We don't want to mix it too much. Just want to mix it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll that out now. So this is just fondant that I've just bought from the supermarket. You might need to put some corn flour on both sides. So it might be sticky on both sides. Alright, I'm going to get my round cutter, the same cutter I used for my cookies. I'm going to pop it on my fondant and I'm just going to cut out the circle. So I'm going to take my cookie and what I'm going to do is just using you can use water or you can use, this is just sugar and water together to make it a bit sticky. I'm going to dip my paintbrush and I'm just going to brush the top of the cookie. just so that it has something to stick to. I'm going to pop it on top of my cookie. Okay, so now I've stuck my fondant to my cookie. Okay, so I've also got some edible paint. I'm just going to give it a shake. I'm going to do a bit of a silver streak on my cookie. So this edible paint I got from an online cake shop. So I'm just going to follow the marble line really lightly. And just really rough as well. I'm not going to do it perfectly. So you can use it to follow different lines on your cookie. And that's it. That's your marbled cookie. Okay, so we're just going to do our other two cookies. I'm just going to prepare the third one because I'll need the fondant on that one to set a little bit before I use it. Roll out 2 fondant circles for these cookies. So one can set and the other one I can do now. So I'm going to pop this one on the third one. Once again, I'm going to just brush my cookie so that it's wet enough for the fondant to stick. I'm going to pop that one on and I'm just going to leave it sit for a couple of minutes while I work on the other one. I might actually roll this one out a little bit. So that it's nice and flat. And I'm just going to leave that one there. All right, so I'm just going to cut the other fondant circle for our cookie. So brush your cookie. So for this one, we're going to make a unicorn cookie. And here I have pre-made tiny little unicorn horn and 2 ears and painted them gold. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my white raw icing from before because it sticks better. And I'm just going to pop a little bit on my cookie and I'm going to stick that on my cookie. Just like that. Alright, so I'm just going to stick the ears on. I'm using my raw icing again. I'm going to do a little dot on either side and pop those ears on. Okay, and now we can decorate around it. So we can give the unicorn a little floral tiara. Once again, I just bought these from Coles. They're mini icing flowers just in the baking aisle. I use some of those and I've also got some pre-made ones that I brought with me. And I'm just going to decorate around with these. So use your raw icing for it. Just pop a little bit on there. And stick it on. Alright, so I'm just filling up the top with some flowers. Okay, and I'm just going to take the ones that I pre-made. Let's look for some really small ones, just to fill up the holes behind the ears. Alright, so I'm going to take an edible marker. You can buy these from Fantastic Variety, they sell them. I'm just going to draw some eyes for the unicorn. Once again, we would do this when the icing is dry. It will be much easier to draw the eyes on. And I've just got some edible dust here. And I'm going to give my unicorn little pink cheeks. And there we have our unicorn cookie. Alright, so for our last fondant cookie, we're going to do a bit of stenciling. So I've just picked up this stencil from Kmart. It's just a love heart stencil. So I'm just going to take my cookie that we covered earlier. Hopefully it's a bit set now. If it's too soft, we will ruin the fondant. So you want to do this when the fondant is really dry and hard. So we're going to give it a go today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my stencil on top. And with my red royal icing that we made before, I'm just going to get a little bit. And I'm going to just firmly hold this, scrape it on top. All right, so I'm just going to make sure all those hearts are covered. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my scraper. And I'm just going to scrape away the excess. Right, now I'll lift up my stencil. So then we have our love heart stencil. Right, so we've decorated cookies a few different ways. You can always jump online and have a look at different ways you can decorate cookies. I get a lot of my ideas online, so you can always do that too.